Hi, I'm Clay Souza. I'm a wedding and portrait photographer in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and you are watching 808 with Clay, where we go every Monday and Wednesday. We go live to talk about photography. Primarily, the three pillars of an amazing and desirable photography, which are lighting, composition, and posing. We come here every Monday and Wednesday at 8:08 p.m. Eastern Time to answer questions, to talk about photography, and give tips and tricks on flash photography and lighting, composition, and posing. So it would be a pleasure to get you guys to go to our Instagram feed, claysouzaofficial, and follow us over there. And as you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button here somewhere, and let's get those lives going on here. Okay, thank you so much. Well, guys, Wonder 33 women. I like that. I like that that handle. Wonder Woman. I like that. Okay, cool. So what we're going to talk about tonight? Tonight we're going to talk about the difference between using flash indoors and outdoors. And as we go on this live, please let me know if you have questions. I'm glad to answer them. But before we get there, we're going to answer one question that I got, one of the questions that I got this week, and we're going to answer this one because I have a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of notes here. But this question has to do with the topic that we're going to talk about tonight. I got this question. I have seen you in your videos using flash outdoors when the light is good. Why do you use flash outdoors when the light is good? It is a great question. Why do you use flash outdoors even if the light is good? That's a great question. What happens when you say when the light is good, I'm assuming we're talking about shaded or cloudy day where you have a diffused light, there's no hard shadows and that type of stuff. That's my assumption. That's what makes a light good for me. That consider maybe not use flash, but most of the time I do. One of the main reasons to use flash outdoors when the light is good is because you don't want the flat light, right? You want to avoid the flat light. For instance, right now, I kind of have a little bit of flat light. We still can see a little shadows going on here, but flat light is when the light is so diffused or it's so in front of you that there's no shadows, right? And shadows create dimensions. One of the biggest mistakes that people make when they start with flash is being afraid of the shadows. They try to light the whole face, the whole body, and end up with a flat lit image, not knowing that shadows create dimensions on the face. So that's why you always want a little bit of directional light. So, but when we get like a cloudy day, when you have like clouds all over and it's not it's beautiful soft light, you don't have dimension because the light is flat. Then that's why sometimes I use the flash. That's one of the reasons I use the flash to the side a little bit, just to give what I call it a kiss of light. Just a kiss of light, just to create a little bit of shadows, light to shadow, to create a little bit of dimension on the face. Actually, in that case, we're using our flash as a fill light. So the ambient light, the sun and everything is the main light or the key light. So when I bring the flash in, I usually use that as a key light. So I'm sorry, as a fill light, just to fill a little bit of the shadows or create a little bit of the shadows to create a little bit of dimensions on the face, right? So another reason that I use flash when I'm outdoors when the light is good is to layer the lighting in the image. What do I mean by the layering the light on the image? If you've been following me for a while, if you go to my website, photosbyclay.com, you're going to see that I have a dramatic style, right? And my philosophy to light is always darker background, lighter subject. And if you follow me, you know why that. Because our eyes always go to the brightest part of the image. So if my subject has the same luminosity, and luminosity is just a fancy word for the amount of light. If my subject has the same luminosity as the background, everything gets blended. So the viewer is going to go to the image and look at everything, the eyes is going to start wandering all over the image because there's no brighter spot. Or even worse, if in the background there's a brighter spot on the background, that's where the eyes are going to go first and then come to the subject. And we all know that the most important part of the image is the subject. So you always want to attract attention to the subject, right? Hey, Laurie, welcome. So that's another reason why I use flash outdoors when the light is good, is to layer the image, because now I can use my camera to control the ambient light by closing the aperture or speeding up the shutter speed, getting to high speed sync. That's a whole different subject. And I darken my background and I use the flash just to light the subject and then create that a little bit of balance where the background is darker and the subject is a little bit lighter, not too much lighter, otherwise you're going to get that white face, right? Unnatural face. So that's one of the reasons why I use flash outdoors, even when the light is good, because I want to layer I want to layer the lighting on the image. And that's a very important concept that I keep teaching you, keep talking to you about all the time, because the formula is always the same. Darker background, lighter subject. Darker background, lighter subject. There's one thing that you can remember is that your eyes always going to go to the brightest part of the image, and hopefully you make your subject the brightest part of the image, right? Awesome. So I hope that answers the question, and we're going to get into our subject here, the difference between using flash indoors and flash outdoors. As you can see, the question that I got in today relates completely to the topic. That's why I picked this question today. All right. What are the main differences between shooting using flash indoors and outdoors? One of the main things here at this point now I can tell you is that indoors you have full control of the light. And what do I mean by that? If I'm shooting in a studio, I'm not, and I need to say this, I'm not a great studio photographer. There's people that I have friends who are way better than me in studio photography, but I can get around. I can do some cool stuff too. So in my approach when I'm shooting indoors, I'm always killing all the ambient light. I don't want any ambient light spilling into my scene. What do I mean by killing the ambient light? I usually, when I'm shooting in studio, I have all the flashes off, all the lights are off, and I take a picture of the model, right, of my subject. And if I see the subject in the back of the screen, I keep closing the aperture more and more until I see a completely black screen. Okay, this is my approach. When I see a completely black screen, I know that no light in that ambient is penetrating the scene, right? It's contaminating the scene. So that's what you don't want. You don't want your scene to get contaminated by the ambient light. So now, once I have the black screen, I know I have 100% control over the light. This is one of the biggest things between shooting indoors and outdoors, because outdoors you don't have that. Outdoors you have the daylight. Outdoors you need to learn how to balance your flashes with the ambient light. Jay Moore, welcome, man. You need to learn how to balance your outdoors light and your flashes. So that's one of the biggest difference between shooting indoors and outdoors. Indoors you have full control over the light. Outdoors, not so much, because you have the ambient light. The mindset that needs to change is control. How much control do I have? And how much, and the way I approach this, I'm always thinking, how much control I have over the outdoor light, the ambient light when I'm shooting outdoor. Because, guys, it's one thing if you're shooting a sunset, that's fine. Another thing you're shooting engagement session or family session at the beach 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a whole different type of lighting, a whole different approach, right? Celester, good to see you, brother. Welcome. So indoors, I can control the light. I dial my camera to kill all the ambient light, and now I start building my light setup. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4 lights, how many lights I intend to use, and that's going to be based on what my vision for that photo shoot is. Okay, so that's one of the main difference, how much control you have. Goody photo, welcome, welcome. So this is something that you need to be mindful of, right? So indoors, close the aperture, get that black screen on the back, no light is contaminating the scene. Now you start building up your lighting setup, one light at a time, always one light at a time. One light, shoot, dial, okay, it's good. Second light, you're going to use a headlight or something, shoot, balance them, and then you go from there. All right, so what is the other thing? Let me check this thing here because I'm going to end up getting confused. So many notes here now. So another difference between shooting indoors and outdoors. Indoors, if you have an on-camera flash or even an off-camera flash, it's much easier to bounce the light. Indoors, you can bounce the light off the wall, you can bounce off the ceiling, you can bounce off the side wall, you can bounce off the back wall, right? Assuming that we're talking about white walls, white ceiling, or neutral gray, 128, 128, 128 gray, right? So that way, because if you get like a green wall, and if you bounce the light off the wall, the light will come back with a color cast, and your subject will have a greenish hue to it, a greenish tint to the subject, and you don't want that. Okay, so, and if you have, let's say if you have black walls, you can even bounce off black walls. Actually, I think I have done it from the ceiling. I think we shot, yeah, we did shoot a wedding. Oh my goodness, the wedding was beautiful though, but it wasn't the church had a gymnasium that they painted black, and that's where the wedding was. So everything was, all the walls, the ceiling, everything was black. So I bounce off the wall, but that takes a lot because the black will suck the light in. It's not like white. White reflects it, right? And black will suck that in. I know that I have to bump my flash power a lot to be able to bounce up that. So another thing is like I said here, it's easier to bounce when you are indoors because you have ceilings, you have walls. When you are outdoors, you cannot, I mean, you can bounce, we will bounce. Hey, Zani, good to see you here, girl. Zani is going to be my fellow speaker at Shutterfest. So outdoors, it's a little bit harder to bounce the light. Well, you're going to need either an assistant, or you're going to need an extra light stand, and you need a reflector. You can bounce the light into the reflector, on the reflector back into your subject outdoors, but that takes a little bit more resources. Let's say if you're shooting like a high school senior, or there's moms there or dads there, there's a friend, you can ask them to hold the reflector, that's fine. So that works also, but that's the only way you can bounce it outdoors is if you have a reflector. Otherwise you don't have a way to bounce. So that's another difference between using flash indoors and using flash outdoors. Okay, so one difference between flash indoors and outdoors. It's another thing, when you shoot indoors, you don't need as much power on your flash. You can get by depending on the size of your studio. Hey Manuel, welcome brother, good to see you here. Depending on the size of your room, or the size of your studio, or whatever you're shooting, I mean, you can get by with speed lights. You guys see me shooting a lot downstairs now because I'm trying to do every Wednesday. I'm trying to do a live shooting here for you guys to see stuff. Next week, I have something planned. I mean, this Wednesday, I have something really cool planned for our photo shoot. I just need to find a damn model. But I lost track. All right, so indoors you don't need that bigger. Most of the time you don't need like bigger lights, really. If you have them, fine, but you can get by with like speed lights, depending on the size of your room, right? Depending on how much room you have. When you see me shooting downstairs, because it's a normal size living room, I'm most of the time using speed lights. That's pretty much it. And the speed lights are fun because they're light, you can turn them around. It's a lot of fun. I love working with speed lights. They're fast to set up, they're small. I like them a lot. So, and outdoors, you're probably going to need a strobe because it all depends, guys, it all depends on what you're doing. If you just try, it depends on what you're doing, depends the time of the day. If you're trying to kill the ambient light, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, a sunny day, speed light's not going to cut it. Sometimes not even like an AD600 is going to cut it. Sometimes you need 2 of them. Okay, it all depends how much drama you add into the image, how much ambient light you're cutting to get the look that you want. Again, it's all about what you have here, what's your final goal for that image. But outdoors, you're definitely going to need bigger lights, okay, than indoors. Okay, so that's another one. Indoors much easier to handle your modifiers. Emily is my bride. Just talked today. She's here. June 4th, her wedding. Yeah, June 4th. So indoors, it's very easier to handle the modifiers, right? You have no wind. There's nothing happening there. You can move your modifier. You can position them whatever you want. And let me tell you a little story. I was in Washington, D.C. Not long ago, actually. Last year sometime, I don't remember when. Alex was there also. I was second shooting a wedding for Brandon Hunter. Brandon sometimes is here in the live with me. We have collaborated on lives here. Amazing photographer in Washington, D.C. Ready to see your magic. I'm ready to create some magic for you guys. So, and Alex is going to remember this because he was the one holding the softbox. I had the new Mag Mod box, the big one, like a 42 or 46 inches, and it was windy outside. And he's Alex, poor thing. And Alex is a strong dude, man. The dude lifts and he's strong. And I was shooting at some point, and I look at Alex, and the wind was blowing. Alex was like, oh, trying to hold that softbox. It would be impossible to anchor that softbox if Alex wasn't there. If Danny, my wife, was there, the softbox would probably get blown out with her and everything, because there was like a lot of wind. So when you are indoors, you don't have those type of issues, right? You're dealing with everything's controlled. That's one of the greatest thing about shooting in the studio is control, right? Is control. So you have control over the situation all the time. When you are outdoors, you don't have that much. You have some control, and you should be able to. You should be trying to get control over the lighting that you're using outdoors, because that's what makes the difference. This is what makes Alex saying, "Thank God I got muscles." Exactly, because I mean. I remember looking at it sometimes, the light stand was bending. I was like, oh God, this is not good. This is not going to go well. Because I was using a big softbox. And this was like dumb of me because I had a smaller softbox with me that I could have used. Totally forgot about it. It was a stressful wedding. It was like we were running around all the time, no time to do anything. Right, Alex? So, but we still managed to get stuff that we always managed to do. Again, back to the topic, it's like indoors we always have more control, and that's the greatest thing about indoors. But outdoors you have the whole landscape that you can use that you don't have indoors. So like everything in life, it's a give and take. All right. The good ones. Talking about modifiers. Try to use an umbrella outdoors on a windy day. Impossible. That is totally impossible. What's going to happen is that wind's going to blow. Umbrellas catch wind like crazy. It's going to blow. It's going to drop your light. Your light stand's going to break. Your light's going to break. It's impossible. If it's really windy, there is no sandbag. Oh, put a sandbag on it. Nah, umbrella is just like, it works like a parachute, right? But umbrellas are great modifiers. They are, well, let me rephrase this. Umbrellas are good modifiers because they're cheap. If they break, they're cheap to buy, $50, whatever, very cheap. And but they have a drawback. It's really hard to control light with an umbrella because it throws light all over. Right? I have umbrellas. I try not to use umbrellas when I'm shooting because it's really hard to control light when you shoot with an umbrella. So light goes all over. But if you start with flash now, it's a great modifier. I have a live where I don't know if it was a live or a video talking about what you should be buying when you starting with flash photography. And I talk about speed light and umbrellas because they are cheap. I actually did a live downstairs shooting only with the speed light and umbrella. If you go through the feed, you're going to find it. You can create beautiful light. It's soft light, big diffused light. You just need to learn how to use it because it can get light goes all over. It's really hard to control. Onyx Photo 41, welcome. Manuel, I remember when I was using my SMDV 110 softbox outside. Yep, big softbox outsides are not fun to deal with. Right? So umbrellas, be careful. Good to use outside, outdoor, indoors, outdoors. A little bit complicated. When you're working indoors, it's another difference here. When you're working indoors, it's much easier for you to work with multiple lights. That's a fact. When you're doing outdoors, somehow the ambient light kills one of the lights because sometimes the ratios don't need to be as strong because you are outdoors. It's much easier to deal with multiple lights indoors than outdoors. That is just what it is because you have the sunlight, sometimes the daylight, and it is and if you always have to use more power on the light sometimes because if you use like hair light, for instance, and if you don't have a sun, the ratios get too small and it just gets a little bit messy sometimes, right? And the next one is it's considerably easier to do different lighting patterns when you are indoors because, again, you have control over the ambient light, right? Outdoors you don't. And by lighting patterns, I mean you could do split lighting, Rembrandt lighting, butterfly lighting. Do you guys know those light patterns? If you know those light, actually, let's do this. If you don't know, this is something that we could be a really good topic for a live one day. If you don't know those light patterns that I'm talking about, hit that heart button there. Let me see how many people don't know it. I'm talking about split lighting, Rembrandt lighting, butterfly lighting. There's another name for butterfly. What is it? Who remembers that? It's something Hollywood style, because the light patterns started in Hollywood. Butterfly lighting. What else? Loop lighting. If you don't know what those lighting patterns are, hit that heart button there. Let me see. It's anonymous. I'm not going to know who sent it. Yeah. Okay, Mark knows some, but not all of the monster lighting. Monster lighting. Yeah, I got some hearts going up there. Would you guys be interested on a live where I can go downstairs and demonstrate to you at least like 3 or 4 different lighting patterns, how I create them? We're going to do that on the spot. If it is something that you guys are interested in, hit the heart button there. Let me see how many people have interest in that. We can plan a live where you do all kind of lighting patterns in there. Just put a model sitting down where you're going to do. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yes. Got some yeses there. Yeah. Mark. Cool. Awesome. So I'm going to put that in the schedule. I know some too. All right. We could do like butterfly lighting, which is not a common one. We can do Rembrandt lighting, which people know the name, but they don't know how to do it. A lot of people know what it is, but people don't know how to do it. Awesome. I'm going to put that on the schedule on my calendar, and we're going to do a live downstairs live shooting on the spot of lighting patterns. Okay, so indoors is much easier to do that because you have control over the light, right? But there's one thing that outdoors gives you that indoors doesn't ever give you is the environment, right? This is why I like shooting outdoors. You pick that beautiful location, you pick that beautiful background, you create that epic big image, wide image, right? With our 1124 pretty wide. I mean, there's nothing that the studio can give you. Even if you put a beautiful background in there, it's still not going to be the same, because outdoors is just that the sunset, and when everything lines up, guys, when everything lines up, it's just poetry. I just love. That's the thing that I love about this profession, this career that I have, is that it's so flexible. You can do anything you want. You can be a studio photographer, you can be an outdoor photographer, you could be a natural light photographer. You should be somebody who knows how to use flash, because this is what's going to make your photography different, right? When a bride or groom, high school senior, when they're going through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other photographers there and seeing what they create, and when we present them with that big image, they stop on the track and say, holy crap. And I know this because bridal shows, I get a lot of people who stop my bridal shows, and this is like every bridal show every day, and more than one time, more than twice, more than 3 times, several times. I have people stop at my booth and saying, this is not North Carolina style, this is New York style, this is LA style, this is cinematographic, your images. But I also have people who stop in front of my booth, look at my image and say, no, and walk away. Fine, that's fine. With the style that I have, I don't think there's a mid ground. Either people love it or they hate it. I'm fine, because I want to photograph people who like my photography. I want to photograph brides. I want to create stories, memories for brides who enjoy my style, who are looking for that type of photography. They're going to be look at this 10, 15 years down the road and still be proud of it. So Onyx Photos, I came to depend on golden hour. I need to get better in the studio. Yeah, it's always a good balance, right? It's always important to have a good balance between both of them, because I mean, I do have shots in the studio. I have done photo shoots like on the studio. I have shot brides in the studio. I got a bride who went like she true story. She had a beach at a wedding at the beach, and she had a little bit too much to drink, and she didn't like her portraits, and she said, I want a little bit more classic type of portraits, right? Can we do that in the studio? Yeah, I don't have a studio. We rented a studio and we did her portraits on studio. Beautiful, create beautiful images, very different, beautiful images, beautiful vibes. So it's always good to have both of the skills. I think opens up a whole lot more doors to you as a photographer than it's just like I only shoot natural light or I only shoot flash. No, you have to do both. In my opinion, you have to do both. You need to be versatile. A lot of times I'm shooting, if I'm not shooting portraits, I'm doing a wedding, right? Emily's here, and Emily's one of my brides. We're going to shoot her wedding in June this year. Actually, not next year, this year. And I mean, she's probably going to see this. If the light is good, sometimes I'm shooting ceremony and stuff that like I just go natural light. It's fine. But when I want to create those epic images, I need my strobes. I need to kill that ambient light. This is what makes the difference. This is what makes the style. But I want to call your attention to something that I kept saying over and over and over and over. It's 8:49 already, and I kept saying this over and over. One word that was common in this whole talk since the beginning, and that word is control. I started talking about started talking about indoors, and I said one of the greatest things, you have full control of the light. When you go outdoors, you have to control the light. It's control, control, control. You, as a flash photographer, as I like to call it the created light photographer, right? As a created light photographer, you should have control over the light all the time. You cannot have the light control you. You have to have control over the light. And it takes skills, it takes practice, it takes equipment. That's what it is. You have to have control over the light. That is your mission. No, many years back when I started learning flash photography, I had a mission and I said, I'm gonna make light my bitch. It's gonna do whatever I want it to do. And thankfully, this is how I see it. I get to a scene, doesn't matter what it is, I'm gonna create the light and the vibe that I want to create, because I have the image up here. I cannot let the scene, the ambient light or whatever it is get in my way. That's going to take me out of my vision. This is what's going to make you different from that other guy over there. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you keep on it, if you keep practicing, if you keep creating amazing images, the clients will come. It's not about anything else. It's about having a really body of work and creating good relationships with your clients. Photography is a business of relationships, but this is a whole talk for a whole different life, and I'm not going to go on this right now because it's already 8:52 and I need to guys let you go. Right? I mean, you guys, hopefully you guys feel the excitement in my voice when I'm talking about lighting, because I really, really like talking about lighting. I do. And just one more thing here. I'm trying to make those audios that you see on our feed that's just audio, I'm trying to make them more business oriented. But this week I posted something about the Netflix series called The Queen's Gambit. And I asked you guys to watch it. And I'm going to ask you again, watch that series. It's called The Queen's Gambit. It's about a girl who plays chess. Don't get hung up, oh, it's chess, it's going to be boring. It's not. It's an amazing series. But I want you to watch it with your clinical photographer's eyes, because guys, I get a lot of my inspirations on Netflix. Right? And that miniseries, I don't remember how long it took me to watch the whole thing, because I kept stopping, rewinding, and analyzing the lighting, and thinking, why did they use the lighting at that point? Because they keep changing lighting patterns throughout the whole series. And you can see how the light pattern changes according to what's happening at the series at that point. Is it drama? Is it ugly? Yeah. The light changes. Oh, is it nice? Is it being nice? Is she in a situation where she's going to win? The light changes on her. It is amazing. Watch it. And yeah, I mean, people who watch that says, yeah, it's a great series. It is a great series. Two lessons you're going to take. That is a whole workshop on lighting and color palette. Color combination. Watch for the lighting and watch the colors. The main character's outfit and the environment outfit, the environment colors. Watch how they play with complementary colors. Watch how they play with the color palette. They keep changing it, change the light, the colors. It's a great source of inspiration. So if you want to learn something and having fun, watch a good series. The Queen's Gambit in Netflix. Watch that. All right, guys. I think I gotta stop talking because I'm overexcited today. I don't know what's happening, but I gotta stop talking because it's already almost 9 o'clock, and thank you guys for coming here. I really truly appreciate you guys being here every week with me, listening to me go on and on and on about lighting, about this type of stuff. I love the interaction I'm seeing on our profile. Before I go, turn off the timer. I can't, Mark. I can't. I wish I could. One day we're gonna have a face-to-face. So we're gonna sit down. Now that the COVID is, I mean, whatever is over. Remember when I did those like Sunday morning breakfast and stuff? So I want to go back and start doing that again. So I miss having like contact with my photographer friends. I call you guys my photography heroes, and that's what I'm going to call you from now on, my photography heroes. One thing that I want to ask you to do for you, please go to my bio once you finish here. Click on that link there. It's a little questionnaire. I want to know more of you. I want to know more what you need. I want to know where you are with your photography, so I can give you better content. All right. The links in the bio there. It's like just multiple questions. There's no difficult stuff to answer. Just like tap, 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 tap. It's going to take you 2 minutes of your time, and it will help me immensely. Okay, guys. Thank you so much. Mark, you're definitely going to schedule another breakfast, okay? My handler used to come to our breakfast too. Then he got too busy. Now he can't come to our breakfast anymore. But anyway, thank you guys for joining. Thank you guys for watching me. I really appreciate you all. Thank you for all the support. We get into our 1,000 followers. Keep sharing, keep telling people about what we do. This live is going to be live on YouTube in a few hours, or tomorrow morning, okay? And if you are watching this on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and hit that the bell button, so you know when I upload content, which is almost every day. I'm putting something new here. All right, guys, I'm done. I'll see you on Wednesday. Bye.